What is up, my peoples? This is another episode of Fun with Flame. I am your host, Daniel the Flame, and I've been enjoying a vacation, a vacany moon, if you will, and there's been a lot of topics that I kind of just missed out on talking about, or that I really didn't. Honestly, I really didn't feel like talking about. Kind of been doing my own thing, enjoying the new season of anime because basically a whole bunch of shit came out that I actually wanted to see. One in particular, actually two in particular, being no three, yeah, being Eminence in Shadow, which is honestly possibly one of the greatest anime to come out in years. Spy X Family, another one of the greatest anime to come out in years, and 100 Girlfriends, which happens to be one of my favorite manga. Um, that honestly is the greatest harem of all time. So those have been things that have been occupying my time, as well as other things and topics and whatnot. Been chilling out. Yeah, been enjoying myself and whatnot. But I was just sitting in my room, lounging about, because I ain't gotta go to work and I don't do this shit full time. So I get to do shit like that. But just sitting around lounging about when it stumbled upon me that articles have been coming out about the new Marvels movie. If you did not know anything about that, the Marvels movie is the sequel to Captain Marvel, which, as we all know, is a terrible movie. And if you happen to like said movie, just know you like bad movies. Okay, it's a terrible movie. It's realistically a really bad movie, and they made it a sequel based off of a character no one liked, based off of a concept no one understands, involving two characters that essentially got their powers inside of TV shows that were only on Disney's platform of Disney Plus. That if you happen to not see, you wouldn't understand those characters' significance whatsoever. So, with all that being said, this is the idea that came behind what it is that they wanted to do with the Marvels. Now then, the article that I happened to stumble across, upon, or the articles that are being released currently, are stating that essentially the abysmal number of ticket sales that are basically going around for the Marvels movie, which would be understandable considering everything that the Captain Marvel movie was in adjacent to what the Marvels movie is about to be. One thing, by not clearly calling this movie Captain Marvel 2, you kind of set up a lot of people not understanding or wanting to go see this movie. It's just because you see these noticeable characters, you kind of don't understand that this is a sequel, but it is. But again, because of how the MCU has basically kind of fucked themselves, you get what you get, and so you kind of just have, or you set up a terrible scenario of ensuring that your average Joe doesn't kind of understand exactly what it is that this thing is trying to do. There's a reason the Civil War movie isn't just called Civil War, but instead called Captain America Civil War. You know, like there's reasons for that, and the fact that they missed out on that horrible, horrible concept of a title is proof of exactly how much they actually thought the character Captain Marvel would generally draw in. Now, remember, the first Captain Marvel movie, if you want to sit there and say that, oh, it made money, it made $1 billion and blah, 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 blah. If you ignore the fact that it was sandwiched between two of the biggest movies of all fucking time, suffice it to say, then you're unbelievably stupid. Because it was a movie that was promoted with the intention of, like, literally Kevin Feige himself, the asshole that he is, because let's not forget, he's the reason this shit is doing what it's doing now. But Kevin Feige himself going around saying Captain Marvel is the strongest character we're going to introduce into the MCU. She's going to be the new front runner behind everything. This movie is so important to what is going to happen into Endgame that you have to see it, which is why we put it in the middle. All of that stuff was done at the moment where essentially it's a 10-year long superhero film fest bonanza was essentially coming to a close. And so the crescendo was that, hey, you gotta see this other character that we're introducing now, because in the end, they're going to be so important. Lo and behold, she did nothing in Endgame. Hell, the bitch only shows up like 2 times. She does nothing. But that was that bullshit. Like I said, that was that bullshit. And immediately upon the actual understanding of that character, upon like DVD sales, the overall constant backlash they got from people just crucifying her movie, they understood that she's not the character that they need to put in the spotlight. Ironically enough, they tried to move over to Scarlet Witch, and the same fucking thing happened. No one liked that. No one liked it, and the thing that they made about that character was god awful. I also criticized the fact that WandaVision was a terrible show after like the first 3 episodes. The first 3 episodes, I was intrigued and it was kind of funny and it was cool. But after the first 3 episodes, that show was just garbage. But for whatever reason, a lot of people just like to go, no, it's the ending. No, all of it. All like just after the first 3 episodes, once you understood that she did what she did and she's trapping those people, yo, fucking terrible show. But I digress. I'm not here to talk about that, even though I've just been rambling on for like 6 minutes. Shit. But the thing was that when the Marvel, essentially, for the article itself to have all of this information present, which is what I know of, which is multiple people know of, people have been talking about and documenting this crap for the Captain Marvel character for years. It's not a likable comic book character, not a likable superhero character, not a likable movie, not a good movie, and it had absolutely no type of presence whatsoever within your last big movie, which was supposedly promoted and talked about that this character was going to be a central key figure for. With all of those negative, because those are fucking negative, with all of those negative aspects added on to this character of Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, you have absolutely no business but just common sense to understand she is not going to sell another movie. She is not going to make the amount of money that the original Captain Marvel movie made. That's not going to happen. None of that is going to happen. And yet, what these articles are going around saying and what they're going around talking about is apparently fucking superhero fatigue. Good sweet Lord. Here's the problem. There is no superhero fatigue. It's the equivalent of saying people don't want to see Westerns anymore. Then why the fuck do they keep making them? They continuously make Westerns. The problem is everyone just kind of falls into the same motif that every other Western's already done already, because thus the term spaghetti Western and how that came from. It was movies that were just done every which way imaginable already. So there's really nothing you can bring to the table that'll be fucking new. Hell, a majority of them deal with a town being taken over by some crazy guy with a gun, and then some rogue dude walks in and then he just kind of sets them all straight after he kills everybody in like crazy ass gun battles. That's like 80% of Westerns right there. You know, that's like 80% of them. But undeniably, there's still amazing Westerns. There's still great movies within that. And the same thing can be said about superhero movies. There is no superhero fatigue. These movies are movies people want to see. People wouldn't shell out as much money as they do towards a lot of these movies, whether it be the Batman movie that came out, the other Spider-Man movie where basically, you know, you just had Tom Holland coasting off of the coattails of Tobey and Andrew because they suck. But they don't suck. Like Disney sucks at handling Tom Holland as Spider-Man, because those movies are terrible. All of them. All 3 of them are really terrible. Yeah, No Way Home is really fucking bad. But you have so much attention and foresight, and so many people are just eager to look at a bunch of these movies. But then you have the opposition of these people starting to talk about what these movies are basically going to highlight. Them not doing anything unique or different with these characters, let alone following what these characters essentially came from within their own respective comic books, and ultimately kind of shitting on the notion of handling a comic book character in the first place. And then you kind of usher in that there's a fatigue of superhero movies. No, bitch. People don't like bad movies, all right? Like that's a universal fact. No one wants to watch a bad movie unless essentially they kind of get the rocks off from joking about it or talking about it, you know, like, a whole plethora of movies like The Room or Trolls 2, shit like that. Those are movies that essentially people universally look at because it's bad and mockingly watch the movie. But these movies that you currently have present are movies that supposedly are supposed to be genre defying special effects orgies and shit like that, and for some reason you never get it right on just the overall story aspect or the character aspect, because you purposefully go out of your way to ignore what it is that this stuff comes from. So the actual source material that build up these characters you ignore, which essentially sets off the people who are fans of these characters, and then the normies themselves are no longer interested because there is no buzz behind it to make you actually want to look at them, because they're normies, they don't understand shit. So you could actually do the origins in the actual comic, and then the normies would still enjoy it, because those motherfuckers don't know any better, but you're too stupid to understand that. And after 10 plus years of making this shit, the fact that that's not something that's been relegated to any of the higher ups making these goddamn superhero movies is beyond fucking logical. Let's not forget that DC, throughout all of the time that Marvel has been killing it with billion-dollar superhero movies, has yet to even have something actually cross that threshold or become something that's that big or that popular, with the actual far larger cast of characters that are far well known. And that's just fucking sad. But that's the notion that I'm getting towards. That's what I'm talking about. There is no superhero fatigue. If they make another Batman movie, I'll want to watch that Batman movie. If they make another Spider-Man movie, I'll go watch that Spider-Man movie. But those are characters that I understand and I know and I like. So that's just the default for me. But at the same token, I know for a fact that these are characters that are known worldwide. So why is it that it's difficult to actually have a Batman movie that showcases or has another superhero that essentially could then branch off into doing a movie about that superhero? Or them having a TV series or whatever that basically showcases what this character was doing before the introduction of this movie or after what happened with this movie. Shit that essentially would be a layup. It's just going over all of these people's heads, because remember, when DC decided to do their superhero movies, it was like, well, since Marvel is making the Avengers their way, let's do the opposite and have a Justice League movie first, because that makes total fucking sense. Stupid. But it's something to where it's like, you gotta understand and recognize that the powers that be don't understand the fandom. They don't understand the content, and they don't understand the market. So, and I mean that for real when I say the market as well. So because of that, they sit there and latch on to shit because it's like, ooh, this was mildly popular, so everyone do this. It's the same shit that happens within video games, where it's like, everyone just jumps on the bandwagon of what it is that they're seeing, because it happens to basically produce a good revenue, rather than understand exactly why did that produce a good revenue. Hell, people gloss over the fact that the first Captain America movie and the first Thor movie were terrible. I always say, go back and look at the first Thor. Yeah, Anthony Hopkins killed that shit. But, yeah, the first Captain America, fucking terrible goddamn movie. Terrible. Made it even dumber that they showed Red Skull within Infinity War, but just stupid. Just so stupid. It had no purpose. But it's just something to where it was like, well, after the fact, those three movies essentially are fundamentally different. Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor, fundamentally different movies, really. But it's not until Avengers come out that every MCU movie is exactly the same fucking thing. Exactly the same thing. And by doing that, you ruin so much in terms of exploring and diving into these characters, that some have far more fucked up history than others, and some, even though they can joke around and laugh around, have been through some shit. But you do not have that. And then let alone the continuity within your movies after having all of this shit everywhere, and now without no type of point of reference or no clear structure in how you're doing these movies, you're just pumping them out just immediately. Well, then you got yourself recipe for disaster, which is why no one wants to see your shit in the first place. Now, you've already destroyed your fan base by essentially constantly hyping up and, being I am woman, hear me roar. That's half your fan. That's actually a majority of your fan base gone right there, because all it's doing is just now discriminating against men, because that's what all the MCU just kind of boiled down into. Then you have the issue of essentially breaking away the die-hard fans of the characters, because once they see those characters within the media, they're not presented the way that the characters should be. That's why you have so many people going, well, if you look at, it's the dumbest shit in the world, but it's when people basically become Google experts on superheroes. And it's like, if you if you look up what this character is and what this character is and what they're supposed to do and how they do this and how many years they've been in the comic books looking like that, it seems like the MCU's doing all right. Yet, these motherfuckers don't understand that when the MCU releases and does this character, they're not going to have the same origin or the same concept that comes from the comics. They've ignored that shit for years. So why the fuck would you think that now, because you looked up what Siri looks like when she's the Black Panther, that for some reason is going to make sense when she becomes the Black Panther? Even though that's a new concept within the comics, it does not sell the comics of Black Panther. No one fucking likes it, and yet they're doing this shit anyway. But Chadwick Boseman died. Then respectfully replace his character. The actor who plays Black Panther should be switched, because that is a man character. Instead, you got a goddamn whole, 3-hour grieving fest of a movie that's just terrible and so disrespectful towards his memory. Jesus Christ. Ugh. You just kind of relegated his entire career into one part, even though, Chadwick Boseman was a fantastic fucking actor. He did so many other fucking movies, but no, everything, Wakanda forever. Fucking idiots. But you see what I'm saying when it comes to the understanding of the difference between fatigue and essentially just overall being done with the shitstorm that you're given. I have absolutely no inkling to look at the Marvels movie whatsoever. There's no reason to even look at these movies in succession anymore to try and gauge or to understand, maybe this will all come together later, or maybe this will all be put together in this grand scheme of what it is that they're trying to do. One of the few movies that essentially was starting off when the MCU was doing shit over was Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. But that movie was written within 2 fucking weeks, and basically the dude who wrote it never seen WandaVision, and the movie itself was kind of being shot around the small tidbits of stuff that he already wrote. And then in the end, they just kind of jumbled the movie together before he can actually generally finish an overall script. Now, why the fuck didn't they immediately start having writers and writers' room plan out what the next phase of Marvel was going to be after Endgame? I don't fucking know. The movie made over $2 billion, or $3 billion, I think, because they re-released it. It made over $3 billion or something like that. And it's you never just had these people sit down, look at everything that they did and they built up and go, okay, what's the next step? And even if their mindset was to go Kang the Conqueror, you didn't have to fall within that same destructive concept of being let's announce all the stuff that we're going to do hereafter, rather than just kind of let the fans be, weary of the shit. Not weary, but let the fans understand, hey, this is the new Marvel thing we got coming out. Ooh, so this is gonna be connected to that. It's hey, maybe you gotta look at it to find out. Ooh, shit like that. But nope. Fucking idiots. Hell, DC did the same thing, and it's just as stupid. Because when DC did it, then they was it's a universal reset. Then they were and the only time it's gonna be canon is after this show. And then it's what is this show about? It's a bunch of random DC shit that I get to create and change stuff with, because no one knows who these characters are. Just like Guardians of the Galaxy. Just like Guardians of the Galaxy. Ain't James Gunn a genius? I don't know why you put him in charge, but idiots. You guys are not going to do it. We're going to have a Batman Brave and the Bold. Yeah, people been asking for Batman Beyond for years. Just do that. Everything that's not connected to my timeline is going to be an Elseworld idea. Why don't they just be separate movies? Why do they have to be an Elseworld thing? Just because that's a DC thing, that does not mean that has to be in connection to these fucking movies. That's what I'm doing. Fucking idiot. But you have all of these, but you see what I'm saying? All of these bad decisions, all of these bad ideas and culminations with people who essentially either don't get the fandom, don't want to get the fandom. And James Gunn case someone who essentially is like, I don't want my work to represent that which the fandom actually likes. Hell, he actually told fucking what's his name? How am I blinking? You can't see me. John Cena, not to read up or look up anything about Peacemaker, because that would ruin what it is that he wrote, because what he wrote wasn't the character of Peacemaker from the comics. He did the same thing in Guardians of the Galaxy. So you understand that this is the same issue that Marvel is having, just with a whole nother nigga. It's a brand new person making the same fucking mistakes, when generally all the content is there. All the storyboards you could have, all of the juiciest fucking movies that you could possibly make in a way that would basically resonate with so many people that are fans, people who aren't fans, and people who just like the brand itself, like alike. All of that would be there if you just take some of their most iconic storylines, take it directly from the fucking comic book, and then present it as media, as a movie. And then you'd be fine. You'd be raking in the money, and it would cost you no type of effort except for adapting something from a comic into the movies. But nah, you guys are fine making your own original ideas with these characters that have long-standing lore, well-established backstories, and a huge fandom behind it that just want those characters to be respected. Yeah, nah. When you do the opposite of that, or you go against all of those things that you have, yeah, that's exactly why you guys are just raking in the fucking dough. So, in short, or what I'm getting at, and what I like, I hope you understand that what I'm saying is the fact that the industry has fucked over superhero movies, and it ain't got shit to do with the fatigue being done. The industry has ruined superhero movies. The writers that essentially wanted to be I Am Woman, Hear Me Roar have ruined superhero movies. All of the nonsense that you constantly keep seeing within these movies being released have ruined superhero movies. And you're never going to see the respect given to them the way how they should be given to them, as long as these people still believe that they know better than the common person who's telling them what it is that they want. As much as I despise the Godzilla versus Kong movie, I always miss saying that. As much as I despise that damn movie, that movie was just stupid enough to give people what it is they want. They just want to see Godzilla and Kong fight each other. And despite the story, the characters, too much of the humans, which is the thing that ruins all Godzilla movies, too much of that going on, it was still a respected movie, or a movie that did well, because all people wanted to see was Kong and Godzilla fight each other. That's what they got. It was like, it might have been in dumb times, and it only happened 3 times within a movie, but that's what they got. Well, technically 2, because then they fight Mechagodzilla, and he looked terrible. But that's what they got, and that's all they wanted, and it made money because of that. But there wasn't anything really to build off of that had this long established lore, or fucking comic books galore, and so many people coming out being like, yo, I'm a fan of this game, I'm a fan of this character for years, and now you're gonna put them into the movies. Yeah. What the fuck are you doing? we put them into the movie. But also, it's this girl that's gonna be there, that's gonna tell them how to do everything, and she knows everything, and then she's gonna kind of coax them into doing what they do. That's not what the character does. No, but that's the direction we're going in, because we're trying to tap into the female market that doesn't like comic books. Why the fuck would you tap into a market that already doesn't even care for the product that you're releasing? Huh? You fucking idiot. That is not how you go about making money. I now understand why you people are on strike, and why the strike is still going, because I didn't make a video about that, even though that's hilarious. But yeah, idiots. You got the crazy people running the asylum, and they refuse to listen to so much of essentially of good opinions, of good criticism, of people basically sharing their thoughts on it when they actually are fans of the characters. People who generally are looking at this shit and they're like, man, I would give you so much money if you would just make this good. And you have so many people on YouTube going around breaking down this shit and whatnot. And it's like, don't listen to the criticism that is just propping you up because you think it's good. Your money isn't showing that that's actually the right perception and people are having towards your work. Look at the good and the bad. Hell, look at the downright distasteful and understand that you people have been writing shitty content, making shitty movies, and then releasing them under the guise of the superhero boom. And that is not making money because none of that works anymore. You can't just make a superhero movie regardless of what the concept is and think that it's just going to generate money. Can't do that anymore because the MCU was for damn sure falling the fuck off. And now that you actually need to try, you're refusing to because that's putting in effort that you never put in the first place. And all it's going to do is bite you in the ass. So there is no superhero fatigue. The Marvels is just going to be a bad movie and everybody fucking knows it. There is no superhero fatigue. No one's going to care to watch the Aquaman 2 because James Gunn and everyone else at DC opened their fucking mouths and said, it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. Rather than just releasing the movie and letting the fans understand this shit on their own. There's no such thing as superhero fatigue. It's just shitty movies. That's all I gotta say on the topic. So, this has been another episode of Fun with Playing. I've been your host, Danieltheflame. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Yeah, become a subscribble. Alright, yeah, that's it. I'm done.